What's up, y'all? It's your girl Sang, and today we're gonna be looking at a video from Jubilee, and it is titled, "Do Women Really Have It Harder?" Ooh, male feminists versus anti-feminists. Now, this video is kind of long, so I'm definitely gonna be splitting this up into parts. If it ends up being 3 parts, then all 3 will go up same day, considering I drop 3 videos a day. So, with that being said, let's get into it and see what these people have to say about women. Do women really have it harder?
The only thing that I could think that justifies being a feminist today is you must just want to get laid. There's no reason to believe in all of these crazy things that seek to strip you of your masculinity, perpetuate these terrible ideas that men are evil and all of these things. That has to be the reason.
He's the one we're gonna have to check out for. Hey, he told it like it was. He told it like it was.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt.
Here we go.
Women have it easier than they think they do.
Yeah. As a woman, we have it way easier than we think we actually do. In terms of like men and women, we have it way easier.
With feminism, it's kind of brainwashed women to think that they are victims in 99% of cases, and all the disenfranchisement that they would claim in like colleges and careers. A lot of these careers are way easier to get into for women than they are for men because they're looking to hire women because of feminism.
Yeah, like in divorce and stuff, they get more property, the kids' rights, all that.
Yeah.
But more so, I think that from the jump, actually have it easier. Like, men need to be a provider. They're taught to be tough. Oh, why are you crying? Don't be a girl. But when a girl is crying or a girl is upset or anything that happens, usually there's like they're a princess and they're given the world.
Well, yeah, because with women, they're born with their value. They innately have value. They can create life, and they're extremely valuable from birth. For men, it's not really the same way. You have to make something of yourself.
Hold on. Go back just a smidge. This person right here, as soon as he said women are born with value, he was just like, he immediately like covered his face.
Life, and they're extremely valuable
there
from
it
birth.
is.
For
there
men,
it
it's not really the same way. You have to make something of yourself to be respected.
Exactly. Like a pretty woman can go far just using her face. A man can't do that. A man can't go to a rich businessman or like a businesswoman and be like, I'm good looking, let me come to your yacht.
Right.
A woman can.
Right.
Let's bring the disagreeers forward.
I'm surprised 2 of the anti-feminists disagreed with that.
I have a quick question. Just a second ago, you were saying that a pretty woman could go on to a
This is the guy that was just like,
rich man's yacht, and that would be kind of her ticket on, right? Okay, so did that help women vote at all, being pretty?
But what does that have to do with it?
I'm just asking, because I mean, when we're talking about women's lives being better than they think they are, would you rather be pretty and be able to get on a yacht, or have your liberties?
What are we living in, like 1950s or 2022?
Yeah.
They already have the right to vote
for a long time.
I think something you specifically...
Yeah, that whole like, does that help them vote? Bro, do you even know why any of that stuff started? Why it got pushed? Why they used minority women of color to push that movement, and then when they finally got what they got, just went and threw them under the bus? Bro, you black and you saying that? That's wild. Like, sir, it was never meant for us. Like, as black people, it was never meant for us, bro.
You said, shows to me why women don't have it easier. I think it was you who said, women already have their value. Their value is already obvious because they can have children. I don't want to put you into the box, but there are large amounts of men. Women are people that have children, and then they raise the child and they be quiet.
And I think
that is a problem.
I think what was really evident to
What did he say? Raise the child and be quiet? What did he...
me when both of y'all came up and talked was how indoctrinated into the patriarchy you are, right? You both come up and say, as men, we have to prove something. And those expectations that you put on yourself is a direct result of patriarchy and the systems that feminism is trying to dismantle.
As are the values that women have that when they were born that you're talking about. Women did not create those.
Right.
Those are God ordained. Men and women are both equal under God and in value as human beings. In Genesis, you have a creation of both men and women that are made in God's
image. We're not about to quote the Bible on like some feminist
Hold on, but so...
I mean,
Whoa, wait a minute, hold on. My man was getting into the word, and they're just like, we're not about to quote the Bible. Why does that bother you? Is that inner demon getting a little bit angry? They don't want to hear scripture?
Well, we're operating in a country where there's a separation of church and state. You cannot use religion as a motivation to make legislation.
That's the demon talking. We are in a country where that's the problem, my man. You want to say that, but do you know what this country was founded on? This country was founded on Christian morals and values.
If I hear one more person use religion as a reason to not give rights to people, I'm probably gonna fucking explode.
Bruh, if you would let him finish, he was telling you we are equal under God, bro. God created us to have specific roles for a purpose, okay? That's not to say women can't do certain things, but there's a reason why he created us the way he did. And the fact that you're that upset, where you're like, if I hear them say it one more time, I'm gonna explode. That's your inner demon, bro. He has a hardened heart. We gotta pray for him. We gotta pray that one day, that veil would be lifted. His eyes would be open. He can see it for what it is.
People using their own personal ideologies as an excuse to implement legislation over other people's lives are simply just not okay with the fact that they can't control everything around them.
That's kind of funny coming from a feminist. That's okay.
Back to the prompt, I mean, I don't think that women have it easier than they think they do. And I think to just make blanket statements like women in society think they have it easy or men in society have it harder or whatever you want to say, I just think it's kind of naive. Sure, maybe some women think they have it easier, but that might not be because they're a woman. It might just be because of their own set of life challenges and vice versa.
Yeah, and I agree. And one of the reasons that I am so passionately anti-feminist is because I believe that feminism pits men against women. Men and women may be equal today, but they are not the same. But also, too, women are under a pressing assault today in this country. They're losing their ability to compete in sports, beauty pageants, also just basic things like that to people that identify as women. And no one is talking about it. Feminists aren't talking about it. So now you have conservatives having to fight for women's equality in
You're making
spaces.
some pretty blanket statements saying feminists don't care about it. And you say,
Y'all the ones, hold on. You trying to say feminists don't care about that? Y'all are the ones that created this nonsense. Specifically women, okay? Originally, men were trying to say, whoa, that dude shouldn't be playing with y'all. And women were like, shut up, we're all equal. If he thinks he's a girl, he can play with us. And men were like, okay, have fun with that. And now it has turned into what it has turned into. So come on now, y'all created all that nonsense.
I think that all women just are against men.
To answer your question, yeah, you're talking about women. Women are not all feminists. Yeah. There are plenty of feminists who are very anti-woman. You saw it during in the political era where you have people who will attack Kayleigh McEnany and Kellyanne Conway because they aren't pro-women. They're not for the girls.
So you...
Actually, we have just a little bit left. I haven't heard Kevin yet.
Yeah, when you talk...
Why did she stop them, man? Let them go and then...
talked about the pressures of being a man and having to provide and having to prove your value as a man. I think those are real challenges that men face. That's why women have it harder too, because they are also being impacted by how aggressive men feel like they need to be able to secure the role that they have to play in society. But the reality of today is that because of the systems that we're in, the patriarchy is negatively impacting not only women, but also men.
How?
There's no...
How? We can literally, it's at the point, it's 2023. It's literally at the point we can go get the same jobs men get. So how? What are the systems of oppression? This is like the Vice panel debate when they would be like, you don't understand the barriers. Okay, for 44 minutes of them talking, not one feminist on that panel could explain the barriers that we deal with today. They kept throwing out race and that one chick, her disability. Okay, cool. That's barriers for those things. What about barriers for just a woman? All right.
No wrong reason to get an abortion.
There's no wrong reason to get an abortion? Well, abortions are wrong, so...
I'll just center the conversation around the very fact that, we're a group of 8 men. The optics of 8 men in a room talking about when women do and don't deserve to get an abortion it's a bad look. So for me, from a personal standpoint, I have a girlfriend. There might be some reasons on a personal level where her and I having that conversation together, I might say, I think we should do this, I think we should do that. On a legislative level, I don't feel confident enough to legislate when someone is and isn't allowed to get health care. Because that's what abortion is, it's health care.
one of
No,
the
it's not.
paramount ideologies of, I guess, being a quote-unquote male feminist is just the ability to mind your own business. Right. Just to be able to say that this is the wrong reason to have an abortion, you're already headed down the wrong path.
Yeah.
So being an anti-feminist, I look at this and I say, well, I am more religious as well.
As am I.
So I want to say like I'm more like pro-life, right? But if a woman decides that they want to not give birth, it doesn't matter the reason. You know, maybe she's not wealthy enough. Maybe, you know, the father left her. You know, there's so many reasons. And then I also look at like just gun violence and how we're like birthing kids and we raise them and send it to school knowing that it can get killed. I don't know. I would feel like
It's like not a safe. It's not the best world to be raising a child in.
Exactly.
I think a patriarchal element.
Okay, they're not talking about ARP or incest. They're just talking about regular sex. In that sense, maybe have safer sex with one another than going and getting an abortion.
Even in your answer, not to combat or what have you, the idea of trying to cycle through the reasons why and going, yeah, I guess those make sense, is still, in my opinion, patriarchal.
Even though I was on the feminist side on that topic, it feels like I was.
They still was hating on. He's on their side with that topic, and they're just like, I feel like your thinking is still patriarchal. It's like saying the same crap y'all are saying. So what's your thinking?
Put in a
then?
position where I was framed as wrong. It felt like you aren't allowed to have this opinion on this topic because you're not a woman, and I think that's kind of bullshit, to be honest.
Off the top of my head, I know that it was mentioned earlier that abortion is healthcare, and I first want to push back on that. Abortion is not healthcare.
Thank you, my man.
Healthcare preserves life, it protects it. It doesn't take it away, it doesn't eliminate it.
What about the woman's life?
But when you exterminate a child, that is doing harm.
Oh, but it's
That
not
is
always a
healthcare.
child, right? So it's a discussion when it becomes a child or not. That's not a gray area. That's not a
It
line.
is actually scientifically proven. It is a
child.
separate
So we're
strain
talking
of
about science
DNA
or
at
law?
conception. If you ask any doctor,
But if you took that clump of cells out, would it survive?
It's not a clump of cells. It's a baby.
it's not a
Well,
clump
we
of
are all
cells.
a
That's why you
clump of
call it a
cells.
termination. Scientifically, it is a life at birth, and scientifically,
birth.
it is at
you
conception.
just hear?
At conception,
I'm sorry.
It is a
scientific.
life, but it is not a human.
So look,
That dude said it is a life, but it's not a human. My man, what is it then? What is it? It's an animal? It's an alien? What is it? Yeah, it's a life, but it's not a human. I don't even think he felt confident in saying that. I think that was just the first stupid thing that came out of his mouth, and he was like, well, it's out there. I'm rolling with it now. I'm just going to say what I'm saying.
though, the thing is, so when you say it's about protecting life,
What?
abortions are protecting lives of thousands of women who maybe are not able to
At
have.
the expense of another life.
But you're already prioritizing that other life over the woman who's carrying that life.
Because of patriarchy, too.
Because of
You
patriarchy.
keep saying the word yeah, because of the patriarchy. Because of the patriarchy. Oh, you agreeing with us? I don't care. Because it still sounds like you part of the patriarchy. It's like, what are you talking about? This is gonna be a rough hour.
Because of
Because we've
patriarchy,
already
you're
devalued
basically
women.
saying that.
So what if we're
see, these
aborting a
cells
female
are more
baby?
important than the woman.
I think it's absolutely shameful how flippantly our society has begun to treat the topic of abortion. You are literally exterminating an unborn child.
To
That
protect
is
the
wrong.
life of
That is
another
wrong.
woman.
Then
No.
don't have sex without protection.
Really, you
Then
don't have
get
sex.
Thank you! They don't have sex without protection. Thank you. It's that simple. You keep talking about it's to protect the life of a woman. 99% of abortions is the first step of birth control for them. Come on now. Come on.
Contraception.
How about you don't have sex without
Well, I
protection?
don't have a
Tell 'em what they
baby.
can do.
I don't have a
Right.
baby.
Tell 'em what they can do.
Stop
Yeah.
absolving women and
Yeah.
men
Yeah.
of responsibility and treating grown-ass people like they are children.
Again,
Thank you.
we're not emphasizing any of those things.
I just
We're going straight to women
Right.
and making it their problem.
Well,
Bro, well, how is it? Okay. This is also what I don't understand. Where they're just like, we're just going to women and making it their problem, blah, blah. It takes two to tango. You both willingly made that decision. And then creating the life that y'all created if she happens to get pregnant, as the father, don't you want to have a say on what happens to your child? It's just crazy. We always kick the man out the equation because the women are the carriers. But the man, he put the life in us. We wouldn't have it without him putting it in us. It's crazy. That's crazy.
It's a man's problem as well, because if a man gets a woman pregnant, that is his child as well. So one of the things that's really important what abortion does is it puts all of reproductive rights in the hands of women when it takes both parties. She cannot have a child without a man. Abortion normalizes women making bad.
We saying the same thing. We are saying the same thing.
Bad choices. We've kind of given a free pass for people to be a lot more carefree about who they sleep with and not really think twice about the ramifications that may come of it.
But again, we're zooming in on a high level on the end result. We're not talking about the systemic issues that cause women to have abortions. Hold on. We're not talking about the lack of resources that make people feel like they cannot sustain a pregnancy or sustain a life. Right. And those are things that are caused by the way men have set up society. So instead, hold on. So instead of talking about the actual issues from the top down and going the whole way, we go to the most oppressed person involved and make it their fault.
How? At least he didn't throw out the word patriarchy. Okay, I was waiting for that because he even said it about 50 billion times.
Mansplaining is overly criticized.
No, and the only reason I'm saying no is because now we have trans women mansplaining how to be a woman, and they're not criticized at all. So that's the only reason I'm saying no. This is crazy how divided they are.
I come across videos online where like a man will respond back to a broad generalization about women, and they'll be like, oh, you're just mansplaining it, as if men aren't allowed to have a voice in the conversation. And I think that the term itself, it's just not really defined.
And mansplaining is just not real.
Yeah.
Like it literally is a man explaining something, and these people get angry about it. Like that's the reality of the times in which we live. And it hurts the ability of men to have conversations with women, because you think, oh wow, if I explain this issue to her, then I'm gonna be accused of mansplaining, or I'm gonna be accused of being sexist because I don't think she understands it. That's toxic, and it hurts women, it hurts men, and it's just not a way for us to have a functioning society.
And at its core, it's completely hypocritical, because the feminist plight is that women need to have a voice and they're being told they can't have a voice. And then they turn around and do the exact same thing and say, you're mansplaining me. You shouldn't have a voice about this topic because you're a man.
And we're targeted because of our identity, and no one cares about it because we're supposedly in positions of power, so we don't get to be victims. We don't get to say, oh, you should feel bad for us, because we're men, so we don't get to have the luxury of having the benefit of the doubt of society or the media or any of those things, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Right. Yeah.
They're like spot on with everything they said. But like I said, the only reason I said no is because the trans women who now mansplain, as we saw in the Vice panel, we saw a man who should be in jail mansplaining to a woman what it is to be a woman, and he wasn't criticized at all. He was applauded by the other women on the panel. It is insane.
I'm going to speak about mansplaining from a different perspective, because you guys are talking about controversial topics. I'm going to talk about it from just like a day-to-day perspective. In my relationship with my partner, how I try to be really mindful of mansplaining is when she is sharing her struggle. I think a tendency that can be conditioned in me through just how men dominate and want to have to solve problems and all that is I want to jump in and just solve it and try to explain what's happening here and try to question her experience and be like, hey, like, well, did you think about this? Did you think about that? Well, I see this. That inherently in itself comes off as mansplaining, because what is the counter to mansplaining?
Bro, it just sounds like you're learning how to communicate properly in your relationship, because not every woman is like that. I am a very blunt and direct person. If you were blunt and direct with me, it would hit harder, but that's just how I was raised. So depending how your partner was raised, how she wants to receive info and give info back or whatever, that's just a relationship thing. That's not you mansplaining. Is that...
is actually getting consent from the other person.
Consent?
How do you want to be supported? Do you want me to support you and listen to you, or do you want me to help solve problems?
It's also, mansplaining is also not just a man having an opinion. Right. That's not the situation. The idea is when a man interjects an opinion that he either is not fully educated on or does not have the appropriate empathy to be able to talk about.
Okay, women do that too, though. So what's it called when a woman does it? Because we don't have anything that says woman-splaining.
How is that
Who
different than a woman
qualifies
doing
that?
that? Yeah, exactly.
That's my issue.
Then feel free when a woman does that to say you're woman-splaining. I don't think that they'll
But
get very
That's not a thing. I just said that. I'm like, we don't call it woman-splaining.
There's a
fix
reason
it.
that term doesn't exist,
And that's
because you're not
childish.
allowed to do that towards women in
I
society.
promise you,
today.
if you did that, it would be
That
just
was
fine.
You just admitted
It would be
Doesn't
just
work.
fine.
Well, I think the difference is though, when if that were to happen to men, it wouldn't quiet our voices to being completely unheard. My wife is a physics and math teacher. If she has the answer to a question in a staff meeting, she's going to have to be louder than the men in the room, because that is the way society has conditioned people to operate, especially in male-dominated spaces.
Yeah.
That's what mansplaining is. I have one more question. Is it about the word?
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Is it
like we
about
keep
the
on getting
words?
hung up
Yes.
on like words
No,
like
it is.
Y'all really
mansplaining
don't. Y'all have a lot
and
of problems with a lot of
patriarchy,
these
like,
languages.
When you say mansplaining,
Yeah.
you have to understand that subconsciously we're already creating a divide when really
Yeah.
a woman can mansplain by definition the way you guys are explaining it, and
Yeah.
that's just as wrong as if a man does
Yeah.
it. So why is it called mansplaining? Why isn't it just disrespectful?
So
Yeah,
when your life is
exactly.
not at stake, when you're not being attacked, I think you can focus on language. When you're not at risk of being...
You live in U.S.
Bruh, men get targeted every day in the U.S. What country does this guy live in?
Dude. That doesn't
Men are
happen.
attacked every single day.
Women are attacked more.
But I think from a societal standpoint, you guys talk a lot about social conditioning and how women feel uncomfortable. But don't you think this narrative that you're saying right now is contributing to that? Telling women that they should be scared when they're in an environment full of men. Telling women that, you know, they are oppressed, they are this, they're that. By telling women they're less than
Let me
men.
respond to that. They're not telling them that. They're validating the fact that that's the reality.
Right.
Women
This is wild. This is crazy to hear the different sides, and it's all men. Because I'm pretty sure none of these people are like trans or anything. If they are, they're hiding it very well. But this is interesting. We're gonna do this last section, and then we're gonna I'm gonna end it, and we're gonna go into part 2.
women should be encouraged to be financially independent of men.
All right, real quick, because I am religious. If you are God-pilled, that means you follow the Bible, you follow your religion, whatever. It's supposed to be, the man is supposed to be the head of the household, right? Your finances, when you are married, they become combined. So you're supposed to have one checking account. Now, how it is in our household, right? We do have a joint account, and I still have mine from when I was, before we had our joint account. And it's going to be like that. Like if a woman's working on her own and then she gets married, she's probably still going to have her own account too. What's going to end up happening is that either you're going to get rid of it or it's just going to be there. And you'd be like, oh, I guess whatever little money I make from whatever I want to do. Because I don't work. I stay at home. I do what a woman would be in a traditional role, right? My man does not care. He doesn't care if I do things on the side to make money. He doesn't care if I go get a job, get a part-time job, whatever. But the setup we have now would be the God pill, like how it is for when you are religious. So that's how we are set up. And when I get my own little money in, basically, when I do have money in there, I just buy my own. Like if I'm out and I'd be like, "Ooh, I want to get a coffee," I use that to get the coffee. Like if I go shopping, I'll use that to go shopping if money is in there, right? If not, we have that joint account, and it's just kind of like there's a ton of money in there. But even so, when you are in that relationship, you kind of just be like, "Oh, babe, I'm gonna go shopping today," but it's like, all right, you just give them a heads up. It's crazy because I already know the feminists are probably gonna be like, women should have their own money in case something happens, blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you do things correctly, it shouldn't even have to be that way. All but one step forward. But the guy that stayed back, he seemed religious because he quoted scripture too. Now, this guy in the purple also quoted scripture, but then he also came forward on that abortion question, and his views were in line with the feminists, but then the feminists still rejected him. So he was better off just hanging back and being true to the word of God.
I think this one's a no-brainer, right? I believe that men and women are equal. They're just not the same. And I think with that equality comes equal responsibility to be able to provide for yourself. And when I think about what could provide for oppression, if that were to exist, would be this idea that they were tethered to men to live their lives. I think if you remove that tethering, then obviously women are free to do whatever they please and exit very bad situations. You know, one of the most unfortunate stories that you hear so often is that so many women are forced to live in very dangerous circumstances because they don't know who's going to provide for their child if they leave. They don't know who's going to provide for them if they leave. And so I think financial independence for anyone is always just a good idea.
Yeah, I want to speak about this through a different lens. I think it should be like women should be empowered to be financially independent. Encouraged versus empowered takes a different sense of support. Speaking to how men feel the need to provide. Sometimes when a woman makes more than a man, men can feel like they're less of a man because the woman is taking more of the boss and provision kind of role in the household. So
that depends on the guy, honestly. Like if you're a true man, you'd probably be like, oh, I gotta do more because she can't be making more than me. But you have dudes that be like, yeah, baby, woo, run it up, pay these bills. They be kind of cool with it. I know guys that are just fine with that. They do not care.
I think that it's important to be able to equip women with being able to feel like they are empowered. And that is a feminist thing because it is breaking the gender norms of what is masculine and what is feminine role.
Yeah, I also think it is important, though, in this conversation to recognize the women that don't want to be financially independent in a marriage. You know, there's a lot of women in our country that enjoy being mothers, and I think being a mother is one
incredibly valuable.
Yeah, exactly, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're stuck in their situation because they're doing something very valuable by sacrificing that freedom in order to raise our next generation.
It's just giving a choice, right?
And their love is their labor, right?
Right, exactly.
Their love is their labor in their home.
Okay, I have a few different thoughts. One of them would be the importance of the family. I think women should go out and be financially smart and know how to make money and be able to make money for themselves. But being independent of men leaves this notion of that you can never trust a man or that men are unsafe. And the problem that this brings is in the family. I think
Can I ask you why?
Hold on, I'm just going to finish my thought. I'll explain. With the nuclear family, you have, and this is for both men and women, they're the most happiest when they are in that kind of dynamic. And to your point about marriages where women makes more than the man, that's one of the biggest indicators of divorce. And I think there is a societal and honestly God-given responsibility for men to provide. So when men are told that women are going to be independent of you, you're stripping away a lot of their purpose and responsibility to be caretakers of women and to provide for women. I would also say that the biggest group of people that are on antidepressants, and it's 1 in 4, are women that are 40, have a career, and have no family and no kids.
Didn't I tell you the reason he stayed back is because he was the religious one, and he was going to view it from that lens, which is basically when I told you my whole setup. We're running our household in a more religious manner. He leads the joint account, all of that. We're happy. He's explaining that right now. And then I like the fact that he also tosses in the statistics and facts to go with it because, yes, a lot of women that decide to put career first over trying to start a family and whatnot, by the time they hit their 40s and they're still single and alone, they are very depressed. And if you watch enough interviews with women that actually talk about this, it's coming out of their mouths, they'll be on that boss babe thing, in their 20s and 30s. They're like, I don't need no man. I don't need no man for nothing. I'm independent. I do what I want. Then when they hit their 40s and 50s, it's just kind of like, wow, I wish I could change it and go back. I wish I would have just got married and had a family. He's speaking scripturally. I told you, God made us a certain way for a reason. We have certain values and roles that we are supposed to play and implement. That's how he is speaking right now. And these guys, they're about to jump all over him. But I applaud this young man because he's sticking to scripture. He's sticking straight to it.
Which is the real meaning of life is community, family, and relationships.
Can I respond to one specific thing you said, which is the demographic of women over 40 taking antidepressants, and you're using that as proof that they're the most depressed group.
That's true. It's not only that study, like I said, if you watch enough interviews of them talking, they'll tell you all of this. Even the whole liberated, I sleep with whoever I want and yada, yada, yada. By the time they hit a certain age, there's interviews of women talking that way too, where they're just like, man, I wish I wouldn't have slept with so many people. I wish I didn't have a high body count. These are real things, right? These are all real things. And it's so weird that this guy right here in this hat, he already was tripping and talking about if I hear one more person talk about religion. So we already know he's probably an atheist. But it's so weird that he's trying to deny that these are real things and these are real studies.
Men just kill themselves. So
Yes,
like
but
all
those
the
are
men that have killed themselves, if they didn't do that and we're still here, men would predominantly be more depressed than women.
There's no basis.
But also the
Men
correlation
statistically
between-
kill themselves more.
But we're talking about two completely separate, different points.
Well,
Right.
I think
Mental
he's just
health-
saying that statistic is a little bit
I'm saying
difficult
that
to
it's
process
out
because
of context because the men that
there's other factors.
Yeah,
like
there's
you guys.
other factors.
There's
going
always
into
going to
it,
be
and it's-
other factors, but that's
Yeah,
a
we're
clear
just pointing it out.
indicator that women at some point, whether they started wanting a career, will eventually want to fall into a role of being a mom, having children, because that is what women derive the most happiness from.
You got a lot of studies and stats over here, which is cool. But like when we're talking about financial literacy and financial freedom, there are a lot of women that have the ability, that decide to step back, all those types of things. None of that has to be taken away or omitted in order for them to be empowered. People should be able to do in their households what they want to do. And I don't think anybody's trying to take that option away from women. I think y'all think people are, but I don't think that's really happening.
But they are. But they are. We see that in society today. People demonizing women for choosing to stay at home. Female empowerment also means empowering women, again, to make the choice that fits them, their choices, and what they want to do. It is just as powerful, just as influential, just as important as a choice to make to raise your kids at home, if that is what you want to do, and also be the CEO of Walmart if that's what you choose to do. We can empower women to be girl bosses, whatever you want to say.
Would you empower a male friend if he told you that he was going to quit his job to be a full-time stay-at-home father?
If he wants to.
What?
Like I said, I know guys that straight up, if the woman making the money, they'll stay home. So if that's what they want to do what you want to do, my man. Personally, we not doing that in this house. But if that's what they want to do, go for it, I guess. You just the house husband instead of like her staying home to be the housewife.
So
Cash in, buddy.
That's good. I just want to make.
Speaking of, there's an anime on Netflix. I saw it before we got rid of Netflix. It's called The Way of the House Husband. It's actually really good. It's a guy that used to be in the, what's it called over there? The triads or something? Whatever it's called overseas. He used to be a part of that, and he left that life alone to be a house husband while his wife went and killed it in corporate America. It's actually pretty funny.
Sure, because like you're only defending women who get demonized for doing this, and you're not like advocating for men to want to step up and do that too. You're only
because most men don't want to.
Yeah,
why not? Why don't you want
because
men?
they don't want
because
to.
they just don't want to.
I don't
It's
want
a choice.
to.
I just want to make sure I follow your logic.
Are you pro choices or pro less choices?
This is a trap. This is a trap.
What? How is that a trap, my guy? They literally told you most men don't want it, which that's technically true. Most men don't want to be like, no, I'm not the bottom in this relationship. A guy would call it a B. He'd be like, I'm not the B in this relationship. I'm not staying at home. I'm the provider. Like that's just natural. Most men don't want to play that role, so they're gonna go work. But the ones that do want to stay at home, if that's what you want to do it.
What do you mean by that?
Are you pro choices? Are you
He's
pro less
trapping you.
choices?
When I asked him why he doesn't encourage
is
men,
he trapping
he said
you?
because they don't want to do that. So then why is it a problem
Because
if
it's
women
about
don't want to be
choice.
stay-at-home?
I'm not encouraging.
It's funny, women do want to do this. I just saw a study where they said 85 or 87% of women did state that they wish they had the financial luxury so that they can stay home and be a housewife and take care of their family. 87% of women said that. So when you hear this narrative going around, women like, I want to be a boss babe, I don't want to have family, I don't want to do this, yada, yada, yada. Remember that statistic, 87% has stated that if they actually had the money to stay home, so if their guy was providing enough to do that, they would love to stay home. Traditional ways work, okay? Traditional ways work. Because you could do it, and honestly, it all comes down to how much debt you have and like budgeting, and so you can know how your money's being allocated monthly anyways. Because there's people that don't make that much. What was it? I forgot the name of the show. There's one, and it's a real show, not like not scripted, but it's like real life TV. The woman was a couponer. Her husband brought in like 40-something thousand a year. They had kids, and she was able to they were able to live the life that they lived, which is like your average middle class family, and it's because she just couponed a lot, and she figured out how to be an extreme couponer, get things. Because I know how to do that too. I learned, trust me, I learned how to do that like about 3-4 years ago. It's awesome. And she figured out how to do that. They live great off of the salary he makes. They figured out how to pay their debts off. They cool. They comfortable. You can be a stay-at-home mom. You don't need to be making $70,000, $80,000, $100,000, $200,000. Your husband, the average amount a guy makes a year anyways is like $50 a year. You could be a stay-at-home wife with that. You have to cut back on like certain luxuries of things that you are used to. You have to live very average, but you can do it. It's possible.
Encouraging
It's
women to
women's
stay at
choice,
home.
too.
I'm not encouraging
But
women to
we
stay at
never
home.
said
I'm
that.
saying that they have a choice, and I'm not for taking choices away from women. You may be. I don't know.
All right, reset.
He's like, you may be. I don't know. All right, we're going to end it there. That was kind of funny. All right, we're going to end it here. This is part 1. I'll see you guys back here next time for part 2. So make sure to come back, put your notifications on, subscribe, check the community tabs, all of that. I'll see you next time. Peace.